Prior to season's release, I theory crafted a build, solely with the knowledge that Poison Creeper will cast Landslide. After having played this build while racing, iterating upon different versions, and having proper time to sit down and playtest it, this is hands down the best version of this build out there, capable of clearing all content in the game with ease. And if you're looking to play something completely new, without abusing pre-existing build interactions such as barrier stacking out and bulwark, this might be the build for you. And hey, if you're looking for non-meta builds, don't meta, consider subscribing, I like doing that. To get this build to a point of casually strolling to T100s, we will focus on scaling the following: crit chance, crit damage, damage reduction various sources, with Nature's Fury and Pack Leader as our build enablers, allowing us to utilize the brand new aspect to the fullest. For the aspects, we'll utilize the following: subterranean aspect as the build starter, allowing us to utilize landslide, net crit damage potential, combined with poison scaling to get us going. Aspect of natural balance, going on our amulet as the highest damage multiplier for earth skills in the game. And the crit chance for storm skills pairs beautifully with Nature's Fury to generate more crits for Pack Leader reset. Whoa. Did you just say highest damage multiplier for earth skills in the game? Damn right I did. I cannot give you the exact formula for the damage other than claim that it's multiplicative, but that aspect alone can net you over 200% crit damage for earth skills, making it the best multiplier in Diablo 4. Moving on to the rest of the build, aspect of the Aftershock as the mandatory addition to any landslide build, which straight up doubles our landslide casts. Shepherd's aspect on our two-handed weapon, which, when paired with aspect of the Stampede on our gloves, gives us a whopping 160% damage multiplier. Ballistic aspect for extra ranks to our landslide. However, if you feel like lack of unstoppable in this build is a massive problem, skill issue, eluding aspect is an amazing defensive alternative. Moving on to defensive aspects, aspect of disobedience as the go-to defensive layer for any build. Aspect of might as we will be spamming Storm Strike regardless for natural balance. Aspect of the Protector as an added defensive layer, but honestly, you're welcome to swap it out for whatever you'd like. It could very well be eluding aspect or anything else you'd like to slot in. This particular aspect is the least important for our build, and as such, consider your helmet a flex slot instead. To supplement our gear, we'll aim to acquire the following stats: damage reduction while fortified, and from enemies that are poisoned, with maximum life and armor close behind. Damage reduction while injured on boots. However, movement speed is something that you're looking to stack, otherwise this build will feel a little slow. Stacking as much crit chance, crit damage and vulnerable damage as we can, and supplementing it with any relevant damage bucket otherwise. With an ideal rank, having vulnerable damage, crit chance, max life and crit damage on it, as it will give us the best of both worlds between damage and survivability. As for the amulet, we're looking for cooldown reduction, ranks of the Envenom passive, movement speed, and one of the aforementioned damage reduction affixes. On the subject of cooldown reduction, generally you'd look to fit it in wherever applicable, such as your helmet, offhand, and amulet. However, with the build skipping defensive abilities altogether, I recommend investing heavier into damage reduction, life and armor over city reduction, as the latter will only help with your petrify cooldown anyway. Lastly, you can play this build with a totem. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you really want to, you'd be looking for aspect of retaliation to negate the 80% multiplier loss from shepherds, and in that case I'd recommend cooldown reduction, lucky hit chance, damage reduction while fortified, and damage reduction from enemies that are poisoned. Moving on to the spell choices, we will look to the following: Storm Strike as a powerhouse of a basic skill granting us 35% damage reduction, when paired with aspect of might and functioning as an extra source of vulnerable and a trigger for natural balance. Landslide, of course, as our main source of damage and the reason for this build's existence. Triple companion stack in the form of Poison Creeper, Ravens and Wolves, as we are running Shepherd's aspect. Petrify for massive crit damage multiplier, source of CC, and through the Devious Heart of Inexorable Force, a one-click button that allows us to conveniently stack all enemies on top of ourselves. If you really feel like running no defensives is too big of a risk, I'd suggest replacing Wolves with the defensive ability of your choice. As for the Spirit Boons, we'll do the following: for the Deer, Wariness as the best node in the tier. Moving on to our Spirit Boon of choice, the Eagle, we'll put a point into Sight Talents, and Avian Rat to increase our crit damage and crit chance scaling. Next, the Wolf, Pack Leader as our only choice in that tier. And lastly for the Snake Boon, Calm Before the Storm to lower our Petrify cooldown. Moving on to the season mechanic, we'll go with Devious Heart of Inexorable Force as the best heart druids have access to, allowing us to conveniently pull mobs on top of ourselves. I dread the day they take this away from us, and you'll probably see me playing another class when that day comes. Wrathful Heart of the Barber as the crowd favorite, and despite its numerous issues regarding lucky hit chance and certain skill interactions, it's still the superior choice by a mile. Vicious Heart of Tempting Fate, as every single hit on AoE packs is guaranteed to crit, and with the amounts of crit damage we're stacking, it's not like we'll be doing damage without crit anyway. Moving on to the Paragon boards, I have included 3 different variants for different progression levels, namely 1 to 50, 160 Paragon points, and 225 Paragon points. However, as to not waste any more time than necessary, we'll only discuss the endgame tree, as it is the one requiring the highest investment. In return, we reach for a non-standard 6-glyph build that looks to stack as many relevant multipliers as possible, thanks to Territorial, Outmatch, Spirit, Exploit, Earth and Sky, and Undaunted glyphs. For our legendary nodes, we'll be getting Earth and Devastation and Ancestral Guidance, as pathing towards them is fairly efficient. On the subject of efficiency, we are not getting Heightened Malice, as our damage on AoE packs doesn't require any extra damage in the endgame, and as such we focus on pathing towards every single crit damage and damage reduction cluster found on the tree. Bar one, that just isn't necessary and will require way too many Paragon points to commit to fully. So how do we play the build? Playstyle is simple. Press Stormstrike to proc Natural Balance and Damage Reduction proc, followed by Petrify to pull things in, and Poison Creeper to explode the entire pack, weaving in Landslide cast whenever Poison Creeper is on cooldown, and we've got Spirit to dump for Ancestral Guidance procs. Rinse and repeat, and you'll find yourself smooth sailing through all content. If you enjoyed this build guide and looking for more just like this one, please subscribe and like this video as it helps a ton. With that being said, Aranethius out.